Hey everybody, in the barrel room with Maggie Baugh. I am a huge fan. I've been following you on, so I said this when I picked you up from the airport, and I said, not in a creepy way, but I've been following you on social media for a long time because you literally are one of those artists that just always has something unique and different to share. And I'm so pumped that you're here to Interstate Music. This has been such a long time coming. I've wanted to get you here for so long and just get a chance to get to know you better, and here you are.
Oh my gosh, well, thanks for having me. I'm stoked. This building is beautiful.
and I'll tell you what, this is what's amazing about her too. She literally just said, I'm grabbing one of these Musicians First t-shirts and I'm going to ut it up and I'm going to wear it just because she's like, I just want to wear it. And
Here we are, Musicians First. I love this.
This is so cool. I love everything about it. Now, how many instruments do you play?
Oh my gosh, it's so funny because when people ask me this, I just say anything with strings is possible for me to pick up.
How is that? Were you like the fourth grader that played violin and took lessons and went through that whole schooling side of it?
Yeah, so I started playing classical violin when I was 6 years old.
I did not know that. I'm not that creepy.
Yeah.
I literally picked that out of the...
Yeah, actually, yeah. So I was classically trained on violin. I was in and out of orchestra at a very, very young age. I did violin lessons. I went to a classical music school for middle school. I actually got to train at Berklee College of Music in 8th grade.
Okay, so did you always... Is your family...
No, my family is not musical at all.
So what made you just
So do you know that show, Little Einsteins?
Yes.
So I started watching it at a very young age.
Okay.
And so if you don't know the show, it's like a Nickelodeon or Disney TV kids show. And basically it's wrapped around classical music. And of course, the dominant instrument for classical music is violin.
Yep.
And so they were using the violin in classical music to go on these adventures. And I'll never forget, it was like the song Hungarian Dance No. 5. And they were trying to get the treasure from an Egypt's pyramid or something like that, and they were using a violin to open it, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. So when I was 4 or 5 years old, I asked to play violin, and my parents finally put me in violin lessons at 6 at preschool.
That is an amazing story.
Yeah.
Because not a lot of, I'm going to be honest, not a lot of parents listen to a 6-year-old that says they want to learn violin.
Yeah, see,
They're just like, oh yeah,
I wouldn't
maybe
either.
Someday, right? It's like that is such an instrument you don't think that age, especially if they're not in that whole music mindset and world and all that kind of stuff. So good on them for actually paying attention.
And
to
luckily, the preschool that I was at was already giving piano and violin lessons, so it really wasn't very hard to look around.
That's awesome. And so when did you start getting into everything else instrumentally?
I would say in middle school. So I was in 7th grade, and I started getting bullied at school and almost took my own life. And instead of doing that, I decided to write music. And my dad is from Texas, so country music was already, around me. But yeah, I decided to use music and songwriting as a way to save myself, and started writing songs.
Powerful.
Yeah, thank you. And started writing songs at a very young age, and started coming to Nashville at 13, and kind of started making the transition from being a violinist to a fiddle player around that time as well.
All right, what is that transition? Is it that big? Is it a big transition?
Yeah, listen, the second I found out who Charlie Daniels was, my technique went down the shitter. Am I allowed to say that? Am I allowed to curse
according
on
to
here?
Charlie Daniels, if you would have said that was the best decision you ever made in your life.
Oh my God, playing violin all the way down here.
So you started to almost speak slang violin pretty quick.
Basically, yeah. Yes.
That's awesome. So then when did you start picking up a guitar? And is picking up a guitar after violin / fiddle, does that even translate? Or are you just at that point, you've got an ear and you've got the feel for it?
I would say yes and no. Yes, it translated because I already had my calluses figured out. I already knew how to hold my hand where I wasn't clenching like this, if you know what I mean, with the neck. I would say that I had the musical ability to know if it was out of tune or not.
Okay.
But it was really different because a violin doesn't have frets and a guitar does. A violin is very squishy versus a guitar, it's all like this. So that was one thing I did have to get used to, is expanding my fingers.
But it seems to me if you're going to put in the time to learn violin, taking the time to learn guitar was probably actually more fun.
It was more fun, and it was a lot easier. And I was in classical music violin lessons where it was very strict. We had to play exactly what Tchaikovsky or Beethoven wrote in exactly a certain way. My bow had to go up or down, and it wasn't allowed to go any other direction. Versus guitar, you can improvise a lot, and it's a lot more about expression and what you feel. And that's why I made the switch, because I was like, I don't want to become famous for playing songs that have been played for 200 years exactly the same way. I was like, I want to make something up on my own and become famous because I did it.
Now, did you think you were going to be the front person on stage singing, or did you think you were going to be that rock star instrumentalist on the side, nailing those solos and having the stage presence that makes the stage feel alive? Because that's a thing. I mean,
It is.
But did you always picture yourself being front and center that was doing all the instrumental stuff while singing?
Well, to be honest, when I was young, like I started playing music because I wanted to save myself, not because I, saw Taylor Swift and wanted to be her, you know? So it was something that I did just for fun. And so I guess like the progress.
You needed to get deep into.
Exactly. I needed to do it. And then I was like, well, my dad put me in like little songwriter rounds like around South Florida. And I guess it just kind of evolved into me being an artist because of my personality. Like, I don't mean to be the way I am, but I always love entertaining
You're letting
people.
yourself be who you are.
Yes. So I entertain people, whether it's like here in the barrel room or it's like on stage or like, at a party or whatever. Like, I always entertain, and, I always have that DNA is like inside of me. So when I was playing backup for a lot of other people and a lot of the other girls that were in South Florida that couldn't play, like I just naturally, I guess, moved to the front of the stage and just wanted to be there. And I was like, I wanted to entertain, so it's just kind of, it's inside of me. So it's hard for me to just take a step back and be like, you know what, like I'm just gonna like let whomever is playing have their moment. But at the same time, I love my musicians, and I think being a musician, musicians first, is so awesome. And I think, we wouldn't have music if it wasn't for them. So I have learned over the years to be able to do both, because I think it is so important to be able to do both.
How many different instruments do you own?
I have like 15 guitars in my apartment.
Like, it's like,
and that's just guitars.
So what, like total
Lord.
everything?
I don't know. Okay, so we have like 15 guitars. I got like 3 fiddles, a mandolin. Someone please add this, because I can't count past 4. I'm a musician. So 15, a mandolin. I have a pedal steel. I mean, just shakers and like.
Do you play pedal steel?
During COVID, I used to. Yeah, I have it.
You just wanted to learn it and be able to add. So do you play so many different instruments because you also like to record your own music and do your own production, or was it just like, hey, I like that one, that's cool, I want to add it to my collection? Are you a guitar hoarder at this point?
I am a guitar hoarder for sure. No, I really wanted to be able to play it, to be able to be producing my own stuff. So like a lot of my music that's out right now, I have a producer I work with, but at the same time, I do a lot of the solos and guitar instrumentalist stuff on my projects.
So your demo tracks are self-done probably, and then you bring it in and
then I bring it into somebody else. I'm like, hey, please, I'm on tour, can you handle this?
That's fantastic. So as far as the lyrics for your music, I know we talked, you do some co-writing, you do a lot of co-writing. Where do you think you got your skills as a songwriter? Were you always just a good writer? Did you write poetry? Where did you start to feel like you could write a song?
I started writing a song on GarageBand, like way back before I even had a guitar. Okay. And that was the time where I started getting bullied and wanted to, put words onto paper. And so to be able to like make a track on GarageBand, you literally just push a button and you put it on loop. And then I was just this little 12-year-old just like writing songs. But it wasn't until I picked up my guitar where then I started writing it by myself.
Do you have any songs that you wrote back then that you're like, I want to turn that into a song now?
Absolutely not.
Like nothing.
No, I was 12 years old and 13 years old, like going through middle school and getting bullied. So I was writing about that.
Have you even listened to any?
Unfortunately. There's some
they're that bad?
Yeah, I deleted everything on like all streaming platforms, but there is some things in the YouTube archives that you could probably go back and listen to.
That's fantastic.
I prefer you not.
So don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. But I was writing about the girls that were bullying me back then, and so I'm just like, I'm writing way cooler stuff. I'm writing about boys that broke my heart now, so that's way cooler.
Yeah, versus people that just bullied you and
pissed
you off.
People that are just being mean.
Just being mean, yeah. So your career, it started a while ago, right? But it feels like it's so fresh right now. You have so much amazing stuff that has been happening for you, well-deserved, earned for everything that you've put into it. But how do those things come about? You were just out with the CMT Awards on stage with Keith Urban. Like randomly I'm watching and I see Maggie Baugh just like walk on stage. I'm like, what just happened? So how did that happen?
Oh my gosh. I never...
I had no idea that was going to happen.
I didn't really tell anybody. I kind of just did it and posted about it. And was like, I did a thing. Well, okay, so I never really believed it when people said things just happen randomly until it literally happened to me. where I just got this random phone call from one of Keith's bandmates, and they were like, "Hey, are you available? Like, we checked out your stuff. We were looking for."
Did you know anybody?
No,
You didn't know this person at all.
No, literally just like cold text, and he said, "Hey, I'm Jarrett. I'm with Keith's band. Like, do you have a minute to talk?" And I was like, "Am I getting pranked?"
Yeah,
like,
no kidding. Right.
Literally, I didn't have his number saved in my phone. I was like, "How the heck did you even get my number?
Right.
Who's giving out my number?" First
Right.
off, not mad about it. But yeah, so they were looking for a female instrumentalist to play mandolin at the CMT Awards. My name came up. They checked out my social media. They loved it, and then they asked me if I wanted to play. And it was like 2 weeks prior. It was so cool. I cried. I was at home actually in South Florida when this happened, which was so freaking funny. And I just ran out crying to my mom, and my mom was like, "What just happened?"
Right.
I didn't know what was going
Seriously.
on. She was so concerned, but I was like, I just got asked to play the CMT Awards with Keith Urban.
Like I can't even imagine, like, when you walked on that stage. Now, I get it. You're a musician and you're a pro. Like, you are absolute pro
Thank you.
when it comes to your musicianship, and your stage presence is sick. But when you walked on that stage, you can't get your head straight on what that's going to be like at CMT Awards,
Yeah.
knowing that bazillions of people are watching, like
Yeah.
all that. When you walked out there and started playing,
Yeah.
were you just so in the moment, or were you like, "Oh my gosh, that's Keith Urban. Holy shit, there's a lot of people out there. Oh my gosh, I'm on TV." What went through your head while you were playing? And don't tell me you were just into the song.
Oh my
There's
gosh,
no way that shit didn't pop
I
in
was
your head.
freaking out. I mean, so Keith Urban is a huge inspiration to me when it comes to just everything about
Yep.
my being. Like my stage presence, me being an entertainer, me being a musician, just like I want to be him when I
Yep.
grow up. Like literally. And so that was insane. I've never met him before sound check. And so we were talking during sound check, and then at sound check I was told I was going to walk out on the catwalk. Didn't know that prior to sound check, so that was going on in my head. And then me and Anna, the girl who played acoustic guitar,
Yep.
like it was our first time on the CMT Awards stage. It was our first time
Did
playing.
you know her before?
A little bit, yeah, just based on being in the town and being a songwriter. Like
Yeah,
I followed
right.
her on social media, so I was
Yep.
familiar with who she was. But we've only met like a handful of times. We were both on the same flight, and we were just talking about it. We're like, "Girl, this is like our first CMT Awards playing. It was our first time meeting Keith, and that was like my very first like arena too, which was insane."
Yep.
So there was just like a lot of emotions and a lot going on in my head. But at the same time, it's like either I had the choice to freak out, which I definitely did afterwards, or it's like, Keith picked us to be here. It's like there has to be some sort of validation. I was like, so
absolutely.
don't freak out. I was like, clearly you're
huge
here for a
validation.
reason. Yeah, I was like, clearly you're here for some weird reason. But like, I was just more worried about tripping like on stage. I'm such a klutz. I don't wear heels for a reason, but I still fall down. So I was more worried about not falling in front of 5 million people.
Can you look back and say you were in it enough? Did you have a blast when you were doing it? Were you at least in the moment enough that you could just soak it in and have a lot of fun?
I did.
Were you this outer body experience the whole time?
I mean, I was so excited. Like we sound checked for a while, but you're
Okay,
playing
good.
in an empty arena, and so I don't know if you watched.
Which is kind of cool too,
it was
though.
sick, yeah.
Yeah.
But we didn't really practice, or maybe we did. Honestly, I don't really remember. But we had a video wall go down. Oh, we did a few times. So the video wall went down. And we were trying to practice about like when it went up, like where to go or in our spots. So every time we did it, it was an empty arena, but we didn't get to see the crowd right before we went on stage. So the first time I ever was on the stage and the video wall went up, it was like an arena full of like people, and it was crazy. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I was like, y'all were empty about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But it was really cool, and I'm really, really grateful for having had the
and the whole Keith
opportunity.
Urban thing didn't stop there. So what was next?
I got asked to play utility for a few shows, which utility means like I'm playing mandolin, acoustic guitar, electric, banjo, fiddle, and singing background vocals on a few dates with him. So he's doing these club shows where they're like 300 cap rooms and
Like pop-up shows,
pop-up
right?
shows, yeah. And the tickets don't go on sale until 24 hours prior. And so I got asked to do a few of those, and that was awesome. So that was.
Did you do all of them yet, or you still have a couple?
We still have a few more coming up, yeah. But
Don't tell anybody.
I'm not allowed to. I might get in trouble. But
and
we
you don't want to
did-
screw that up.
No. But we did Dallas, which was really fun. So we did Club Dada. That was cool, and that was my first time being like in the band and playing. And then I got to do the iHeartRadio Festival, and I did utility as well, and I came out for a duet.
I mean, so much fun, so much cool. What's next for your own career as far as, because you book all your own shows,
Yeah.
your tour, everything. So what do you have coming up for the rest of this year that's just all about you going out and playing for fans?
Yeah, so I'm in the studio right now working on a lot of music. I've been teasing it a lot online, so go check it out. I had a single drop a few weeks ago called Woulda Left First, so go check that out too. But I have some more tour dates coming up. You know, we're still actively booking a tour, but my next tour date is in Hawaii, which is going to be so fun. I've never been.
Did you book that?
I mean, Kyra helped me too. It came through the 615 house.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're doing that. It's like a little acoustic concert in Hawaii. I've never been, so I'm pumped.
That's awesome.
We have like a few shows this fall. I'm going to Switzerland this year, which is crazy because I just got back from an international tour, and then they left me, and then they booked me again. So now we're going to Switzerland.
So you hooked up with a group that does a lot of the bookings of the international stuff, and it worked.
Yeah, so we're booking a little routing a little tour through Switzerland in August.
I mean, exhausting to just even ask these questions and try to catch up with what you've got going on. So much good stuff. It's always something. It's always fun to just pay attention to what you're up to. Your social is always on point. It's energizing. You can actually get to know who you are through your social, which is good on you for putting out some great stuff and sharing and letting fans be fans, because it is the way the music is going to, get legs and actually get heard and shared and all the rest of it. So I can't wait to have you play here at the Caribou Room at Interstate Music.
I'm so excited.
And I can't wait for the next 17 times you play at Interstate Music.
Come on, let's bring it back.
Let's do it. So Maggie Baugh, I'm Jeff Peterson. This is the Barrel Room. She's going to be playing the Caribou Room. She's incredible. Seriously, worth the time to check her out. And her music is so solid. And all the best for what's coming in your future. I know it's big stuff.
Thanks.
You bet.